Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program.
Welcome to another episode of Subscription Prescription, the podcast where we help you figure out everything related to D2C subscriptions. I'm your host, Salomon, and this week I'm so excited to be joined by the one and only Dallas Parsons. Dallas, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Dallas, you are the current Senior Director of Marketing at Mixhers. I've been a fan and customer of Mixhers for years, but for those listening who are not familiar, do you want to tell us a little bit about Mixhers and your role?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Mixhers is a company for women, made by women, and we do supplements for women, and we have supplements for all different ages and stages of womanhood.
That's awesome. I love Mixhers, all flavors. It's the only way I drink water nowadays, but tell me a little bit more about your role, because I know we've known each other for a while now, and I think we met when we were in the retention space, but you do a little bit more than retention. Is that right?
Yeah, so I was kind of like life cycle marketing and then progressed into this role. But before life cycle, I was more on the CX side of things. So I have an interesting kind of take there.
Ooh, well, I want to hear it because I always think it's interesting how people end up where they are. So tell us a little bit about where you first started when you joined the Mixhers team.
Sure. So I started out as the customer support manager, actually. And if I'm being honest, it was kind of a step back in my career. But I really have always loved customer support, customer experience, just the whole customer journey, broadly speaking, and started there and was super involved with the customer support team and just building foundation blocks that really any company really needs those big, like pillars of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And CX is so important. Like if you have a good customer support experience, good CX experience, sometimes it's memorable, but like if you have a bad CX experience, it's like ingrained in your memory forever.
Right.
So we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And anyway, so I was just involved there, and it was kind of a natural progression to kind of do customer support, customer experience, build my way up to lifecycle marketing. I think in customer support, a lot of times you see the good, the bad, the ugly, and I could kind of pinpoint like specific areas that were pain points. And then going into like life cycle, I was like, how can we fix this experience? How can we answer these questions better, provide more education? The other thing I failed to mention about Mixhers is it is a subscription company. So we offer subscriptions, we offer one-time purchases. How can we like best educate on our subscription? And anyway, so I got to do a lot of that with Lifecycle.
No, that's awesome. I feel like the CS background for retention and life cycle and now just like marketing in general is super helpful because I feel like a lot of brands, they have that disconnect today where they're not talking to their CS teams,
right,
or their CS teams are not talking to them. And there's that gap in comms, which brings me to the conversation I want to have with you today. And it's all about the gaps that we see in subscription brands, specifically, everything that happens past that initial purchase. So what would you say are like the top 3 pain points subscription brands have today once they, they acquire the initial customer, they walk in through the door? What are those pain points? And it could be, in CS, in retention, in marketing in general. I'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Okay. 3. Wow. Off the top of my head, no prep. I would say transactional emails are huge. Okay. I'll dive into them. I'll tell you the 3 and then we'll go into them. I'd say transactional emails, underrated. The second is loyalty programs.
Okay.
And then the third is education surrounding the product. So you have to kind of understand the why behind why you're using the product. So transactional emails, when I started in Lifecycle, we actually tested turning off subscription renewal reminders. And I think that you had like a subscription. You're like, Dallas, why are you not sending me a reminder?
I do remember that.
Yeah, you remember this. Anyway, and so we've kind of tested both, which I think is fair to do as a company. And it's on now. Like she's up and she's running.
And I'd love to understand that a little bit more. So you guys tested reminders for like,
Mhm.
so emailing a customer about their upcoming order versus not emailing them.
Yeah.
Okay, what did that test look like for you guys?
So this was a little bit before my time coming in.
Mm-hmm.
When I came in, it was like, how do we turn them on and like optimize them and also have it be something that
Sure.
could potentially convert for them to add to their subscription, that kind of thing. But I think that they're so valuable.
Mhm.
And there's ways in which that you can do it really well
Right.
and ways in which you can do it really poorly. So I think that kind of figuring out what are your customers clicking on when they're on that email. So
Mhm.
looking at, I mean, in Klaviyo, which is what we use, it's super easy to see like where your customer is clicking on an email. So are they clicking on that they want to add to their subscription? If they are, can you optimize that section of the email a little bit better? If they're clicking on manage my subscription, which takes them to their portal, how can you optimize the portal experience so that you're upselling them, cross-selling them, doing everything that you can to retain them?
Mhm.
That email is so critical
Right.
and should always be looked at, just as far as metrics go.
Yeah. And transactional emails have super high open rates because
Yeah.
customers are like, I placed my order. I want to know where my order is. And so they're more willing to click on the email as they wait for the order.
Mhm.
I'm just curious for someone who's listening and they're not super familiar with email, why would someone want those transactional emails in their ESP versus their point of sale system like Shopify?
Um, I think it goes back to like bandwidth, and we had our transactional emails in our Shopify for a very, very long time,
Mhm.
and they're actually not living in Klaviyo quite yet.
Okay.
They live just the subscription renewal reminders
Okay.
in Klaviyo. We actually use Redo for a lot of our comms
Mhm.
and like order confirmed, shipping confirmation, and that's a recent switch for us. So when we send an email that way, we're just able to customize the experience, the look and feel of the email, as well as the subscription landing page, not subscription, shipping landing page. So when they click on their tracking, it's taken to a more branded page
Right.
and has cross sells, upsells there. And then we can also like change out, there's like little ads on the site.
Mhm.
So anyway, it's similar to like a Malamo or order
A
protection.
Wonderment.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
I think for sure though, it's one of those things that if you do move it into Klaviyo, which I advocated for a very
Mhm.
long time, it's like a
Right.
rising tides raise all ships or whatever
For
they
sure.
say.
I always like to ask that question because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer and
Yeah.
everybody does it differently. But I went on the transactional tangent because there's like just so much you can do in those initial first days, like past your first initial order. So you talked about the emails, about the tracking pages. And so that all makes sense to me. What is next on your list?
So next is loyalty.
Okay.
And it's interesting as a subscription-based company versus if you sold something like clothing or maybe like a food product,
Mhm.
consumable that wasn't a subscription-based, beauty supplies that's not subscription-based. It's a different game. And loyalty plays a big piece, arguably, in both,
Mhm.
both subscription and non-subscription based companies. For our loyalty program, though, it's been huge as a way to add an additional lever of showing the benefits of being a
Right.
subscriber. So not only do you have the health benefits of being a subscriber, specifically at Mixhers, where your supplements are delivered on, a regular cadence,
Mhm.
you're taking them daily, but you also have opportunity to earn 2 times points on these things. We can just kind of reward them differently.
Right.
And bring them back for a quicker second purchase, or again, cross sell them and have them increase their subscription
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
So I'm a Mixhers loyalty member,
Okay.
and I don't know if I've shared this with you yet, but I used my points on something interesting.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to gift Mixhers to a friend who had never tried it. So that's what I used my loyalty points on,
I love that.
which is technically like a free referral if you think about it.
Yeah. No, that's
So
awesome.
I'm
Wow,
a customer
Thanks, Al.
every 30 days.
I love it.
Yeah.
We also have, I think that there's interesting points that you can
Mhm.
bring as a company as well to your loyalty program. So another layer that we have within loyalty is the option to donate their points. So
Wow.
if I know like me personally, I'm like shopping at, I don't know, like maybe I go to Costa Vida or something.
Mhm.
I don't even have the app.
Oh, wow.
I don't have any of these things, but like I would maybe be more inclined to use the app if it was like, oh, use the app, scan your receipt, da 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 da, and like we'll gift a meal or something.
For sure.
So I think that is also a huge, that's something that I think about and think is important. So we have that option if people don't necessarily want to redeem for themselves, they can donate their points. We have a couple of different donation places that they can send their points to, and that's really, it's more expensive for Mixhers to do it that way, but I think it's one of those things that's really important,
Yeah. No, and it aligns with the brand and then, the
Yeah.
customer too. So that makes total sense.
And sets you apart from other loyalty programs. Like that's not something that's offered
Mhm.
that I see like super regularly.
Yeah. No, I don't see it often. And I always talk about loyalty programs. They all look the same. Everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And yet everybody's still trying to reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
Are you guys just doing loyalty, or is there like other factors to your program, like refer a friend or?
Yeah, we do have like a refer a friend referral program.
Mhm.
That one is a lot tougher to crack for us.
For sure.
So we should talk offline about
We will.
how we can do this. But referrals is a little bit trickier. And I think that it honestly depends on what your vertical is as a brand. And education, again, is so critical for things like loyalty programs and referral programs. So making sure that you have all of those elements in your email flows or doing one-off campaigns, making sure that they're in, footers on your socials, that kind of thing can just make it so much easier to keep those programs rolling.
Yeah. Besides like the perks with loyalty customers, do you treat them any differently past the initial purchase? Like, are they considered your VIP segment, or does that segment have a different definition? Like, could you share a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. As far as like VIPs, we actually moved our VIPs to be our SMS subscribers.
Really?
So we used to do like email and we had a tiered loyalty program. We no
Mhm.
longer have tiers. Really, we just wanted to simplify and pull back, and tiers was one of the first things to go. I think that if you have a subscription program and you also have tiers, it can just be a lot
It
of
can.
like education. It feels very heavy. I think that tiers can be very powerful and like more impactful if the brand isn't subscription based. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
No, I worked with a brand who they had loyalty, they had an app, they were a subscription company, and they just like didn't know what their VIP segment definition should be.
Yeah.
Like, should app users get early access, or should loyalty or SMS, or like what if they are in all three? But that's a lot to ask a customer to do.
No, it's huge.
So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I just think it depends on the brand.
It totally does. Depends on the audience,
Mhm.
what's received. Like I said, we did VIP tiers, and like our top spenders were the ones that were getting VIP access and things like that.
Mhm.
And then we shifted to SMS, and we just saw way better like response from our audience by having it be SMS subscribers. So that's what we've rolled with for a while
That's
now.
awesome.
And I think that it's been super successful.
Would you say SMS is like a strong channel for you guys?
It is. Yeah. It's a really strong channel for us. It's a newer channel,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like we didn't super use SMS like a year and a half ago.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of things that you can do. And it's one of those channels that is actually able to be really flexible. And I don't know, you're just able to like kind of pull things together a lot quicker than you can
Yeah.
with like an email or
For
a
sure.
loyalty play,
Yeah. No, I totally get that. So we have transactional emails, we have loyalty.
Yeah.
What's third on your list?
Okay, the third thing I would say is education. Huge, huge for post-purchase retention, like all of the things. As a subscription company, knowing the why behind why you're taking this product,
Mhm.
why you're paying for this product every single month is so important. If you don't understand why you're taking it, or if you're not taking it daily, you'll unsubscribe, you'll
Right.
churn,
Yeah.
And so that's been tough. I mean, I think all subscription companies are trying to figure out how to,
We are.
turn around. And yeah, it's super important. It's a really important metric to be looking at, and the reasons why people are churning. So we've looked at this in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
We recently rebranded. So we flipped all of our product colors and
It
our
looks
logo.
so good, by the way. So congrats.
Oh my goodness. No,
So good.
I didn't touch like the creative side. So shout out creative team for doing all of that, because it looks so good now. But we introduced new flows during that time. So we had like different onboarding flows for the different products that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's, you want to only introduce like certain things like kind of slowly
For
to
sure.
figure out what is actually changing, like metrics like churn. So we are slowly kind of rolling out different strategies there. And one of the ones that I'm really excited about that we're working on is doing something with text, because that seems to be a really successful platform for us.
Mm-hmm.
But not in a way that moves revenue in a big way, but hopefully that retains customers in a big way. And that is, I want when they subscribe for their very first time, or when they order Mixhers for the very first time, I want them to be able to opt in to something like, hey, we're here to help support you on this journey of wellness, or
Right.
of, taking care of yourself. If you want to opt in for reminders, like select this, say reply this, a brand that does this really well
Mhm.
is called Cocoa Floss, I think is what it is.
Oh.
And I actually haven't bought anything from them, but I'm
Okay.
a big brand fan
Yes.
and love their texts. And
What's it called?
I think it's called Cocoa Floss.
And what are they? What do they
They
do?
literally sell floss.
No way.
And like, I think that they sell some toothpaste, or no, toothbrushes or something.
Okay,
Anyway,
it's awesome.
love you, Cocoa Floss. But when I signed up for text, they were
Mhm.
like, hey, do you want to get reminders daily to floss? And I was like, well, this is like a cool flow. So like
Interesting.
immediately my brain is in like life cycle.
For sure.
So I'm like, yes, I want daily reminders to floss my teeth. Yes, for sure.
That's
And
awesome.
it was really interesting because they would send it. It wasn't actually daily, but it was actually pretty frequent cadence.
Mhm.
And they would just be like, hey, did you know that flossing, da 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 da. And then they'd like send a fact about flossing or not flossing, or something about bacteria. And I was like, my goodness.
That's like having your dentist in your pocket.
No, it was like
That's awesome.
really fun. So I feel like if brands can kind of find ways, and then I was like, wow, flossing is so important.
For sure.
And I felt really bought into like their brand, their product. And I mean, I'm not even a real customer,
Yet.
Yet.
Those texts are going to get you.
No, they're going to get me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought that was super interesting and a really like fun way to do product education.
The education piece is so interesting because one of the top cancel reasons I've seen for so many brands is usage.
Yeah.
Like, especially with this holiday season, you're going to get a lot of gifting, or you buy a subscription because it's on sale for Black Friday, and then you don't use it, and Q1 rolls around January, February, and so you cancel your subscription.
Yeah.
So the educational piece is so important. Everything you touched on is 100% retention life cycle, which is, in my opinion, the core to everything that happens post the initial purchase. What are some like unique things that you would suggest brands that are listening and want to try one of the three? Like, what are some things that they can do that are unique in those areas?
Yeah, like specifically for retention.
Yeah.
I would say do an audit of your loyalty program.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's so important. A lot of times I hear like, oh, a loyalty program is like set it and forget it.
I hear that all the time.
I hear that so often in
Pet peeve.
our space. No, I'm like, oh, red flag. I'm so scared.
Yes.
I would say audit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every single time that I do an audit, I find like little things that are either wrong or could be better. So do an audit of that and of your flows that you have connected. Just making sure that those are up to date. People just will bop through those, and it's so important to make sure that you're giving your loyal subscribers, your loyal customers, just a really good experience.
Right.
So I would say really look at that, and then probably transactional emails. Turns out I'm a real big nerd for transactional emails.
I feel like people don't talk about transactional emails enough.
Yeah.
I think there's like a scary part to it because if you add too much marketing material, then it can't be counted as transactional. But the tracking page experience, that's where you have a lot of space to add things like your loyalty program, or hey, did you know if they didn't subscribe with the initial order, did you know we have a subscription program? And that's like a great place to put all of that marketing material.
Yeah. And I think like following the 80-20 rule of those transactional emails. So 80% is the transactional message, 20% is any additional marketing, and just being so wise and even testing. I know that those are very delicate to test, that it's like, you want to be very careful there. But I think that it's worth it, especially if you have some really good strategy thoughts going
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So your 3 points were transactional emails, loyalty, and education, which are all different contact points in the customer experience. So as a retention marketer, as an email marketer, how do you know like when to reach out to your customer past the initial purchase? Because what we're trying to figure out are the gaps in subscription brands when it comes to retaining those customers.
Yeah. I would say it varies brand to brand.
Mhm.
Like sometimes I am a purchaser or I'm a subscriber to a brand and they email me like twice a month. And sometimes I'm really surprised by that. I'm like, wow, honestly, you could be emailing me on a much more frequent cadence and I would not be mad, you know?
Right.
And then other times I'm subscribed to products and I'm like, wow, I'm getting like 6 texts a week from
Mhm.
this brand. So I think that making sure that your segmentation is where it needs to be. So maybe you're excluding subscribers to that specific product when you're trying to sell that product, and instead doing some kind of like education. So for example, we have a greens product,
Mhm.
and sometimes we'll do like the regular general comms will be, here's our greens product. This is why you should buy it. It's really cool. Da 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 da.
Right.
It's obviously much better than that,
It's
but
like do you have like a mango flavor or?
yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's
It's
one
good,
I like.
huh?
Yeah, it is.
It's so good. The apples and pomegranate.
Oh, yeah, you did tell
Chef's
me about
kiss.
that one.
It's so good.
So yummy.
Drink it every day.
I have to. I need to go get some after
I
this.
know. I'll get you some.
Thank
It's so
you.
good. But so yeah, we'll have like one segment that is general and our intention is to sell them on the product.
Mhm.
And then we'll have a second email that will go out, same day. And it will be to the subscribers of that product that's like, here's why taking your greens every single day is so important,
Mm.
and really providing that like nurturing aspect, as well as education. So it's not necessarily like they're dropping into a flow, which we do have, but it's just providing that further nurturing, further education, even after they've been a subscriber for 6 months, 9 months, a year. That can be so important. And then in those ones where we say, hey, subscriber, like, hey, green subscriber,
Right.
we see that you're subscribed. We acknowledge that you're a subscriber of this. Is why you should continue taking it.
Mhm.
Did you know that it also mixes really well with Mixhers energy? And then it's an opportunity to do a cross sell, but we're still, like following the brief. We're still all these things, but I think segmentation
Right.
can also be super key.
Yeah. I like that you touched on upsells because I feel like every person in this space, like we just never know when to include the upsell
Yeah.
because it's like, is the goal to retain them? Is the goal to upsell them right away? And so I think comms and timing is super important with all of that.
Yeah, I think so too. When I look at my own like behavior as a
Mhm.
customer and a consumer, of other brands' products, I often think that when a product is delivered is usually when you're so excited about it. Like
Right.
I get that order delivered and I'm like, I can't wait to go home. I'm gonna rip open my box. I'm so excited.
You're doing
right?
an opening on Instagram.
Yes. No. I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
No, but I will be so excited
Mhm.
about that initial like getting the product. And this just happened the other day and I knew that we were recording. So I was like, I have to remember this experience and share
is
it on
good.
the pod. But
Mhm.
I just bought this lotion bar. Can't remember what the company was called, but I bought a lotion bar and
Okay.
I was like, hey, I'm really excited about this. I did it as a one-time purchase because I was like, let me see if I even really like this, if the smell is what I want it to be. Bought it and I was like, hey, this is actually so great. I really love it. I'll send you a link after this or something because they're good.
Please.
But I get my order. I'm so stoked. And then I actually got the leave a review like email that was like, hey, Dallas, how are you liking your purchase? Review, like submit a review and get like 15% off your next order.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, like I am so excited to reorder because I'm loving the 2 that I got. It's like, of course I'm going to leave a review. I'm going to get 15% off and I'm going to go immediately rebuy, which is exactly what I did.
Wow.
So anyway, I think that there's like moments there. And again, maybe the review one isn't necessarily like a transactional email, but it's still like
A touch point.
adjacent,
Yeah,
maybe.
no, can be.
And I think that's a good opportunity to like really look at when that send time is scheduled and making that a good experience because it's like so shortly after a customer has experience with the product. And yeah, good touch point to have them reorder.
No,
You
for
don't have
sure.
to wait a whole month.
They need to give you a referral link so you can text that over to me.
I should look and see if they have a
Yeah.
loyalty program.
No, you should. It's just it's so interesting to see how many touch points there are in the customer experience. And when you have the initial purchase, like you have to think about everything.
Yeah.
The transactional emails, the loyalty programs, refer a friend, reviews, education, like it's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, it's very holistic and it's fun to be part of, honestly. I really
Yeah.
really like the customer side of things.
I do too. Is there any other channels that you'd recommend to help any of those areas or like,
Mm,
any new tools that you have found that you want to share?
let's think. Well, we've really been liking Redo,
Okay.
like for that, shipping situation, like shipping page. I would say internally, sit down with your customer support team, have a chat with them. Like I always say that, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but have a chat with your customer support team, find out what pain points they're still currently experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
and figure out ways that you can solve for those in either comms or in your loyalty program or working closely with the web team.
Or like on your PDPs, you can
Yeah,
answer those
PDPs,
questions.
absolutely. Yes.
Mhm.
And then I've started working with our ads team a little bit closer. And so that's really top of funnel. But just looking at ways that we can partner together in some
Right.
of these things, setting expectations at the very beginning for different things. As well as sometimes I'll have ideas that are like, this is such a fun idea. Like we need to get this more top of funnel.
Right.
So I think that internally working with customer support, web, with ads, is so valuable. As far as like new tools or like tools that I love using, like platforms and stuff,
Or are you doing like any direct mail today or?
we aren't.
Okay.
No. Do you have experience with direct mail?
Being in, we just talked about all these things and it just goes to show like there's always something on our plate that the idea of adding direct mail is just like terrifying.
Yeah. No, it's like
But
it's like a lot.
yeah, but everyone's like starting to do it more.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing with apps. Like now brands have apps and it's just
Mhm.
like one more thing to add to the customer experience. So when you acquire that first customer, it's just not like thinking through the offer, it's thinking through everything past the offer. It's like, what am I going to do to now make this experience unforgettable so that they don't leave?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they do, like that opens up a whole nother can of worms. So,
Right. Yeah. I will say that we do love using Churn Buster.
okay.
And therefore like helping to retain customers who
Right.
are at risk for churn. And we have so many flows. I did not set them up. Shout out, Sav. I love you so much, girl. But she's our VP of CX, and she did so much work. And I think that has really paid off for like our churn. But yeah, it's a lot of things to think about, a lot of different
Yeah.
angles, so many touch points. It's a lot of mapping. It's a lot of keeping organized, a lot of
Mhm.
testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like also testing like when to test, It's like, do I do direct mail or do I A/B test this email?
I know, dude. Yeah, A/B testing, direct mail. I'm excited about direct mail.
Yeah. I started to dabble in it a little bit more the last year,
Yeah.
and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's coming back like email. So
I think it is too.
so you'll have to try it and let me know.
Dude, I'll let
Maybe
you know.
someone will reach out.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So last question, what would you say is something that retention marketers, lifecycle marketers, CS teams can do with their growth teams? Because arguably growth, they bring in the customer and then it's handed over to all these other teams. Like what's something that brands can do to solve the gaps between those teams?
I would say with growth and with life cycle, I would say look at each other's metrics that we're tracking. I was very surprised when I sat down with our VP of growth and she does our ads. Shout out Kara, love her.
We do love her.
I do love Kara. But I was very surprised sitting down, seeing the numbers that she was tracking for ads. And then I was like, wait, but like, I feel like I can lift in some of these areas.
Right.
Given I also oversee social. So some of those were like social plays more, but I was like, wait, we can like kind
Tag
of
team.
align. We
Yeah.
can align here. Like there's synergy here that we can both kind of help each other in these different roles. So I would say like really sit down and like understand what the pain points of growth are. And bringing in, like when you bring in a new customer, like what does that welcome flow look like? Like how
Right.
can I be helping in that way as she's, pulling so hard to like bring down our, like our CAC or something. And then that's acquiring somebody. And then we've also done things where we like will put up a landing page, like sign up for our text to get X or whatever. And then instead of acquiring a customer in an ad, we acquire them in an email because they like sign up for emails, and an
much
email,
cheaper.
it's so much cheaper. Oh my goodness, so much cheaper. So just looking at like little ways that you can kind of tag team and work together on those
Right.
different initiatives, I think is important. Yeah.
Because it's all life cycle if you think about it. So
Dude, everyone touches customer experience.
we all do. Okay, awesome. Well, this was great. Thanks for being on the podcast. I think
Yeah.
our listeners have learned so much from you, and they're gonna walk away with 3 more things they can start doing right away.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dallas.
Fun to chat.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Subscription Prescription. Make sure to come back next week for another episode.
That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.